Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. So, something that I've kind of noticed on my videos is you guys really like when I post videos of running the super safeties. So, something I decided I kind of wanted to do as a video a while ago, and this kind of prompted me to do it a little more, was to actually make a video on the super safety itself. So, we're going to kind of go through this as YouTube friendly as I possibly can, without getting myself in too much trouble. But I'm going to attempt to kind of show you the install process and how the thing functions, things of that nature, and leave it up to you whether you want to delve into that world or not. But yeah, let's take a look at this thing. So first off, just to kind of give a once over on what we're looking at here, this is a Rock River upper 10.5.5.5.6. I did put a dead air brake on it. That way I can run suppressed on this. And this is a the Snowflake from Spike's Tactical Lower. This is one of the ones that has the spinning around here unicorn on the side. If you've seen one of these before, it's it's a pretty unique little lower there. But I actually used this lower and a 350 Legend upper that was sitting up there. I originally built this for my wife as a deer hunting gun, but she didn't go deer hunting with me. So it had been sitting for quite some time, and I was like looking around, and I was like, I have this. This is something that happens with me a lot. I will purchase a part, and it may or may not fit the build the way I wanted it. So it will kind of transition from this to this to this, just on and on until it finally hits its final form. And this was one of those ones that was a product of all of the pieces that were laying around from different builds, to include the optics. These were optics that I had put on another build and ended up wanting to lighten it up a little bit. Actually, my other super safety setup, and I wanted to do just a single red dot. So these were pulled off of that, but this is the Volta Solar and the XTM3 with the flip off. This is actually a really nice little setup here. But so the super safety, everybody's like, is that an FRT? What is that? How's it work? What's it cost? All these questions. So I'm going to kind of go through. I'm going to take this lower off, or the upper off, so you guys can see inside, and we'll break it down. Okay, hopefully you guys can see inside here. Now this is a little bit dirty right now. I'm not going to lie, because I run my stuff, so it is a little dirty, but it's not terrible. Now, if you'll notice here, your selector switch is not your normal rotary style selector, like what most people are used to, where you would flip it, up and down. The way this thing goes from safe to semi is, this is safe all the way to what would be, if you're looking down the rifle, on the left-hand side, all the way to the far right. So it's pushed all the way to this side to the right is semi-auto, and then center position is where the fun happens, the super safe activity happens. So as you can see right now, pull the trigger, nothing happens. All the way to the right, pull the trigger, hammer fires, reset just like normal. Okay. But when I put it in this center position, so to explain this and show how it actually functions, you have to imagine that the bolt carrier is actually still in this thing. So in the cycle, you're pulling the trigger, the hammer's going forward. It is striking the firing pin. It's activating the actual cycle of the weapon. Now I'm holding pressure on the trigger right now. I'm still holding pressure. What's going to happen in the cycle is it's going to reset the hammer. It's going to grab this right here. It's going to move it to the rear. Now watch when it hits the rear. Force my finger forward there. Now I got a little more pressure on my finger. Now, as it returns to the forward position, so the bolt's moving back forward, it automatically releases the hammer again. So you're still staying in that semi-auto activity. And I'll see if I get, well, it did it on its own there, but I don't know if you can see it in the video. No, you can't see it there. Okay. But when this goes back to the forward position right here, it's allowing the hammer to then continue back and cycle again. So ultimately what you're doing is just moving this to the rear, which is just pushing your finger forward. That's literally all that's happening here. So nothing crazy. For reference sake, this is just a standard mil-spec style hammer and a mil-spec style trigger. And I do believe I had one laying around here somewhere. I might have put it up. I'll see if I can find it here and show you guys in a minute. But the install process on this is not hard at all. If you have any kind of experience with AR-15s, you can figure this out. Literally all you're going to do is run your screwdriver up in here or Allen wrench. You're going to take your pistol grip off. You're going to take your 2 pins out that take the fire or the hammer and the trigger assembly out. And then you're going to remove your standard or original selector switch. You're then going to put the put the trigger back in. You're going to put, or the new trigger, the one that has the cut on the side of it, and I'll explain the cut here in a minute. But you're then going to reinsert the new selector switch about halfway in, and then this little finger here sits in a keyway, and it's kind of hard to see in there, but you can kind of see where it's open right there. It's a keyway. There's the shape. You're going to have it go up and to the rear. So always make sure it's up and the finger is pointed to the rear. If it's facing the forward position, you're going to have problems. Don't do that. Slide it all the way in and reassemble everything. It's literally that simple. Nothing too complicated. All right, now talking about the mil-spec trigger here. So this is a jig that was 3D printed that I used to essentially adjust or cut this angle that you need here. So on this side over here, you can see the angle. You literally just mark it right there, cut it. On this side, however, you can see it's kind of a rounded angle. And I'm not sure exactly. This one should sit just a little flatter than what it is right now. But I think it's because this trigger is a more rounded style on the shoe here. But it will sit down in. You see there's a little gap right there. But it should sit down in just a little further. But you cut that corner. You just round it off and cut this angle on this side and remove it straight across the back here. You're essentially just removing that chunk. So make this rounded piece right here just smooth. That's pretty much it. Now I will say, if you're doing it and you're cutting your own trigger, there might be some filing, some smoothing that you have to do. I know for mine, the thickness on the wall right here was just a little too wide. I had to thin it out just a little bit. And the easy way to figure that out is don't necessarily fire it right away. Put it in there and dry fire it a few times, and then pull the barrel or the cam, if you will, this piece back out and inspect where the there's 3 positions in there. Inspect the middle position, and you'll be able to see if it's rubbing. It'll kind of take the finish off a little bit. If that's the case, you need to thin this down a little bit. So personally, I would recommend just buying the pre-cut kit where you just get a mil-spec trigger that's already cut. I'm just one of those people that I like to know how things function. So I went with this, and the first one I did, the other Super Safety setup, is a cut trigger. This one was a kit trigger. So they do have, there's multiple companies out there. This is one of the flat triggers. The other one is a rounded trigger that I did, but you know, you've got plenty of options on that. There's gold there, you know, you can get one and have it Cerakoted or Duracoat if you want, or spray painted for that matter. But there's a lot of options there. I will say I did find a company that has DLC coatings on the selector and the finger or the bar, whatever you want to call it. So that's another option. This one is not, but I think if I ever get another one, I will do the DLC. Not that this one is not good by any means. It's never given me any problems. I just the buddy of mine that had one that was DLC coded was just a little bit smoother on the selection. So do you need it? No. Is it nice? Sure. All right. So I talked about the kind of the functionality, and how to install it essentially. Like I said, it's pretty easy. If you have questions, there's plenty of videos out there to, figure out how to install it, but it's a pretty basic process. Something else I wanted to talk about was running it. So something that I discovered in the process of experimenting with these things as I'm going is they run really, really fast. So some of the videos that you may have seen on my channel, running 5.56, and it's just trying to tear the world apart. Like, this thing just freaking screams. So I have not played with a adjustable gas block on one of these, which is probably going to be the next thing that I add to this setup, just to kind of bring the speed down if I need a little bit, or in the case of 300 blackout, which I'll show you here in a minute, speed it up. So ultimately what happened is I was like, hey, what's some other things that I can try, to experiment and see what this thing's capable of. I was like, hey, I got a 300 blackout upper. What happens if I put 300 blackout with subsonics and a suppressor on here? How quiet is it? How smooth does it run? Will it run, period? So it did run, as you're going to be able to see here in just a second, but it did run, but there is an issue. We'll try it. That is freaking awesome. So as you've seen there in the video, it is making a very distinct it's not firing as smooth as it should be, or that I would like it to be. Part of the problem is literally it's subsonic. Like, if you're running subsonic, your gassing is super low. Your muzzle velocity is, the bullet velocity is under, was it like 1150, 1150 feet per second. So it's super slow. Things are moving very slow. With that being the case, this is going to affect the recoil assembly, and this has an H3 buffer in it. Now, I've tried an H2. Actually, that's sitting here. I've got an H2. This is an H3, and I've ran an H1. I have a couple other things that I'm kicking around on that front as well, besides just the adjustable gas block to bring the speed up or down. You can do the adjustable gas, or the buffer and the buffer spring. And one other thing is, I found there may be others, but I know Strike Industries make one that is fillable. So I think they actually have two. One of them comes with like a kit of different weighted spacers or bearings or whatever you want to call them that you can put in there to adjust the weight to what you want. But they also made one that I think you can put like BBs in it. So I was thinking about trying one of those and see if I could adjust it to where it runs a little more smooth, and is a little more adjustable for whatever your velocity of your ammunition is. So I'm not saying it's impossible to fix if it's running too fast. You have to play with your setup, because if you're running a 7.5 versus a 16 or an 18-inch, it's going to be different. Every setup's going to be different, and your ammunition can play a factor in there as well, because if you're running a 55 grain 5.56 or 77, I've even seen a little higher than that, your muzzle velocity is going to play a factor there. So for me personally, when I'm running stuff like this, I try to find a happy medium to where it doesn't really matter what ammo I'm running. Yes, it might run a little faster on the lighter stuff. It is what it is. But I definitely needed to bring the speed down, because the other super safety build that I have, I was actually peeling the gas rings out of the bolt. So it was running that fast. And it also blew, if you watch my other video where I blew it up, actually blew the gas tube out of the gas block. So something to be cautious about when you're running stuff that is not rated for this rate of fire. You may run into some ouchies. So yeah, there's a learning curve to this stuff. Part of the reason why I said I wanted to cut that other trigger was because I wanted to learn how to do it and how it would function and all those kinds of things. So yeah, why the super safety versus FRT? Well, I'm kind of cheap, and spending more money to spend more money doesn't make sense to me. FRTs are like on the cheap end $400 and on the high end $750. And I've seen some cool ones, man. There's some, 3 positions. They look cool. They function great. I've seen people running them on all kinds of stuff, AR-10s, AR-15s, 9 mils, the gamut. That's cool. Don't get me wrong. However, not everybody can afford $700 for a trigger, because then you have to feed the thing to actually use it. And ammo is not cheap, and my ammo is not free. I do not get sponsored that way. However, if someone would like to sponsor me to burn ammo, man, I am all for that. However, that has not happened yet. So, yeah, these are about 100. I believe the full kit is like $110 with the trigger, which is, don't get me wrong, it's $110. However, if you're going to build something just as a fun novelty toy to go and show your buddies and burn up ammo and have freaking unicorns and rainbows and all that kind of fun stuff and just enjoy it, for me, this is the option. I can't see spending $700. That's a new suppressor in my opinion. So that's that's why I run the super safeties. So yeah, I will say I would like to try an FRT. I would like to play around with it and see if it functions faster, cleaner, smoother. I would love to run them side by side and see what we can do. But as of right now, this is what we got. So yeah, if you have questions though, by all means, put them down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. If it's something that I can show you in a video, I can even do little shorts and kind of show what's going on. But yeah, super safeties. They're cool. They're fun. They are legal. So not, not really a worry on that front. So hopefully you guys liked it though. As always, stay tuned, stay tactical, and I'll see y'all next time.